Alright, what's up guys, it's Rest and welcome to another video. Alright, so this one I want to go over the Mindbender's Ambition. This is the weapon farmable this week from GMs, and like I said last week, I'm going to be updating these every single week when the weapons drop. And in these videos, I want to talk about if you should spend your time farming these or not. So I think it's pretty clear to the community that overall the Mindbender's Ambition is definitely not what it once was, but it is still a pretty good option if you don't have a shotgun. Does that mean it's worth farming for over other shotguns? I don't think so, because it's just not as good as other shotguns, but it does come with some pretty interesting perk combinations that I don't see a lot of people talking about, and I hope I can show them off in this video. So first things first, since this is going to be a depth, since you can farm it for GMs, you can take a depth based mod. So you can actually have access to things like a depth big one spec, which is actually one of the best mods in the game, because you're going to do more damage to mages and bosses, which is very nice for a shotgun. In your first column, you can kind of go with whatever you want to. I would not recommend full choke because it does reduce your precision damage, and you want to get obviously as much damage as possible in PvE, but running something like corkscrew rifling to get some more handling and range is nice. Or if you just want to go full into handling, you can go with something like barrel shroud, and then you have a lot of handling, which is obviously going to be pretty good for PvE. Now always go with the salt mag in PvE. It's even very viable in PvP as well, but this is going to up your rounds per minute by a little bit. As you see, it goes from 55 to 60, so it does get in handling a little faster fire rate, which is obviously nice if you're trying to take down a lot of enemies. And now the perk columns, we have things like slot weights, snapshot, threat detector, pugilist, lead from gold, auto loading holster, and then the second column, steady hands, swashbuckler, 1-2 punch, well-rounded, fragile focus, and incandescent. So overall, no perks are really standing out to me other than maybe 1-2 punch. You don't have things like vorpal, you don't have things like trench barrel, but in the first column, we do have things like slot waste, which is pretty good for reloading your gun. If you just want to shoot a shot, then reload it. Snapshot, I would never recommend taking in PvE. Threat detector is not bad in PvE since you're going to be up close to enemies anyway. You get a bunch of reload speed and some other stats. Pugilist also isn't bad if you're playing into a melee build, but honestly would just probably recommend taking something else. Lead from gold, not a bad option for PvE. If you pick up heavy ammo, you'll get shotgun ammo. And then auto loading holster is another great option, so you can shoot all your shots, then reload the gun over time, and you'll have it for the next fight. Now the next column, never recommend taking steady hands for PvE. Swashbuckler is not bad. 1-2 punch is probably going to be your best option because you do get that shot and you can just do a lot of damage. If you do take 1-2 punch, I actually would recommend running full choke so you can be sure to hit all your pellets. Well-rounded, never recommend it. Fragile focus, never recommend it. Incandescent's not bad, and you can do some pretty interesting things with this, but honestly, on a special weapon, I don't know if I would recommend taking it over a primary weapon. So what's standing out to me for PvE is definitely things like lead from gold, just to get some more ammo. You pretty much going to have constant ammo for your shotgun, which is very, very nice. And probably things like 1-2 punch or even swashbuckler. You just get a damage bonus. You can go on a rampage with it, kill a lot of major targets. If you get a melee kill on a lower enemy, your shotgun's going to do a lot of damage to a bigger target. Other things that are standing out is also things like pugilist swashbuckler. You get a melee kill, your shotgun gets melee kills, you're going to start getting energy back, which is nice. And also when you actually melee an enemy, you're going to get handling with pugilist, which is a thing a lot of people don't know about. You get 35 handling whenever you do melee damage, so that's going to pair really well with swashbuckler as well. Pugilist and incandescent also is a pretty good option since incandescent will do more damage. You will also be able to proc pugilist since incandescent does count as weapon damage, so you could have a bunch of melees like that in general. Threat detector is also a pretty good option. Threat detector, 1-2 punch, full choke since you're going to be close to enemies anyway. Just get that melee off, do a lot of damage. But overall for PvE, I don't know if I could recommend farming for this. If you get one to drop that has one of these perk combinations I just went over, I would definitely recommend keeping it. And another thing to note is that you do also have origin traits like stun and recovery, which shotgun mods are a thing this season for Unstoppable, so that actually is pretty good. It's going to refill your magazine to reload your gun, and you're going to get health back, which does pair really nice with a shotgun because you do have to be up close to an enemy. It also obviously does have Vanguard's Vindication, so when you get kills with it, you can kind of go on a rampage and start healing every single time you get kills. So that's pretty much it for PvE. Let's actually start talking about PvP a little bit because that's where most people are going to be using these shotguns. Obviously, Mindbender's back in the day was extremely strong, but they kind of did neuter it a little bit, but it honestly still isn't as bad as people are making it out to be. Again, since this is an adept weapon, you have access to adept mod, so you can take things like adept range, which is going to be really, really nice. You get plus 10 range, and if you can also manage to get a range masterwork, you're going to get a 49 range on the shotgun. Then we come over here to the columns. If you want to take things like rifle barrel, it's going to decrease that handling a lot, but we'll get into it in a second where that doesn't matter too much. You are going to have a lot of range. If you want to stay consistent, just take something like corkscrew rifling so you get some more range and handling. Or again, barrel shroud's also not a terrible option because you do just get a lot of handling. But honestly, with what I'm going to go for, I definitely think rifle barrel is the way to go. Now in the next column, you can take things like accurized rounds, and you're sitting at a 60 non-range shotgun, which is honestly just insane. But you also have things like assault mag if you want to take that, so you can get off another shot faster. But again, for the sake of this, I'm going to go with accurate rounds because I'm just trying to buff that range up as much as possible. Now, since you have very low handling, things like snapshot's going to be good to aim down sight faster, so you can just secure that one-shot kill, or even things like threat detector, so you get that faster swap animation, since you're not going to be taking quick access lean because you're going to opt in for adept range. Threat detector is a very good option, or if you want to go with snapshot, I think I would go with threat detector because you do get a lot more benefits. And then also in the second column, steady hands is going to be an insane perk to take, because once you get a kill, you're basically going to max your handling out. It becomes very, very snappy, and on top of that, with threat detector, you're going to be able to just control this thing like crazy. It does require kill, which is unfortunate, but if you do get a kill, you can start sprinting around with this thing like crazy and have a 69 range shotgun, which is very, very nice. Also, another thing to note, 1-2 punch is good for taking out supers, while round is, I guess, not a terrible option because if you use an ability, you're going to get some more range, which is nice. Same as fragile focus. If you don't take damage, you can actually get an additional 20 range, which will buff this up to 89, almost 90 range on a shotgun, which is kind of insane, but obviously that's a, you know, in a perfect scenario, fragile focus is really hard to proc in Crucible. So I definitely think taking steady hands and just having a very snappy shotgun like this with a lot of range is for sure the best way to build this. Plus, you do have access to Vanguard's Vindication, so when you get a kill in Crucible, you will heal a little bit of your health. Not a lot, but it can make a difference if you are in a tight situation. So this is for sure a slaying out shotgun. I definitely don't think it is the best high impact shotgun that we have in the game. Found Verdict probably still takes that relatively easy, and when we're able to craft that, that's for sure going to be the way to go. But I really do think this is a fun role, and if you are farming GMs for shards or just any materials in general, be on the lookout for something like this. I think it could be very fun in Crucible. It's definitely more of a 6s weapon than it is for 3v3, but I do think it does have the potential to do some cool stuff. But if you guys want to do some cool stuff and you enjoy this video and want to see more content just like it, consider subscribing, drop a like, and turn those notifications on. Also, if you want to join my Discord or follow me on any of my socials, all of that will be linked in the description as well. But just know watching this video is way more than enough. Every single bit of support from y'all is truly appreciated. Thank you all so much for watching this one, and have a great day. Peace.